Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us at the Earthshot Prize Innovation Summit. It's incredible to be here with so many leaders in government, business, and the nonprofit sector, to hear from so many passionate climate innovators and advocates like Jane Fonda. The work she's doing is a real inspiration, and we're glad to share her mission. As Mike said earlier, our partnership with the Earthshot Prize comes out of our long commitment to climate change and finding serious solutions that can change the world. That commitment drives our team at Bloomberg Philanthropies every day to take on coal power and other fossil fuels here in the US and globally, accelerating the transition to clean energy. It's why we've partnered with cities to cut emissions and clean the air, and with the private sector to create a financial system that tackles the risks of climate change. And today, it's why we brought together so many extraordinary leaders and so many talented innovators to scale and accelerate some of the most promising solutions to protect our planet. The Earthshot Prize recognizes groundbreaking work that's making progress in a number of critical areas. One that's a focus of our next panel, the ocean. Protecting the ocean has long been a priority for us at Bloomberg Philanthropies. More than a decade ago, we launched a global initiative dedicated to staving off threats to our ocean ecosystems and the coastal communities that rely on them. We've partnered with local leaders and organizations to improve fisheries management, strengthen ocean protections, and preserve coral reefs. And I'm glad to say we've made encouraging progress, helping pass nearly 200 laws at the local and national level, strengthening protections for more than 11 million square miles of ocean, an area that's 3 times the size of the United States, and supporting dozens of countries as they move to ratify a global treaty to conserve the high seas. We've continued to grow and refine our work, and we're now focused on helping to achieve the UN's ambitious goal of protecting 30% of the world's ocean by 2030. To make more, we can clap, that's good. We've continued to grow, to make more progress. We've also worked with the Earthshot winners and finalists like Pristine Seas, Coral Vita, and the Coastal 500. In fact, I'm glad to welcome Rocky Sanchez Tirona, co-founder of Coastal 500 today, to share her thoughts on the stage this morning. Rocky's tireless efforts have brought mayors and other local leaders into the heart of ocean conservation and fisheries management. We're glad to have her focus on local leaders and share her belief in them, and to support her amazing work in partnership with RARE. Rocky will be joined by Maya Gabeira, UNESCO champion for the ocean and youth. She holds the women's world record for the biggest wave ever surfed. And it's a big wow. And she's used her platform as a surfer to advocate for ocean sustainability and fight plastic pollution. That's another priority we share, and we're glad she could join us today. Here to moderate the conversation is Antha Williams, who brings incredible vision, passion, and creativity to lead our climate and environmental programs at Bloomberg Philanthropies. She's a fantastic champion for the climate, and we're very lucky to have her on our team. Rocky, Maya, Antha, thanks for everything you do. We're looking forward to a great conversation.
Thank you so much, Patty and Jane Fonda. Talk about a morning of women's leadership on these issues. Can I just get a little round of applause for that? Pretty awesome. It's really wonderful to see all of you here, and especially on this topic of revive our oceans. And the threats to ocean revival and biodiversity loss and climate change are really daunting. But for me, every day, I have a lot of cause for hope, thanks in large part to the organizations that are represented here on the stage this morning by both of you. So Maya, I want to turn to you first. Your path to becoming such a passionate ocean advocate has been really personal. You come at it as a surfer, an incredible big wave surfer. I've visited you at your home in Nazaré and seen what it takes to be a professional surfer, which is incredible grit and a huge garage full of very intimidating gear. My daughters are like, wow, as am I. But can you tell us about just your personal path to ocean conservation and also what, as a champion surfer, like how that informs your advocacy?
Yes, first of all, thanks for having me today. Well, to put it simple, I was a young girl that was saved by sports and particularly by the ocean itself. And by going surfing, I tapped into healing and being free and finding something to do for the rest of my life. And that was my passion. And at some point, I think my individual journey was getting somewhere with trophies and accomplishments. And I couldn't be blind to see that as I grew and as I traveled the whole world and spent a lot of time in the ocean, I saw that it was being depleted, and I saw the plastic, and I saw the lack of fish and life, and the white corals everywhere. And so it was just natural and my duty that something that saved my life needed saving, and that I was in a position that I could then turn into trying to help. And first it obviously came from understanding. I was very glad and fortunate to be already in Oceana, and then I jumped into the board of directors, and then I got to dive deeper, and you know, the more I dove into it, the more I understood that we had plenty of science to save the ocean, but you know, us as humans and as leaders and as political forces and CEOs, we weren't doing enough. And that was very interesting to me. How can we have all this knowledge and the right solutions and science to back us? Why aren't we doing anything? Why aren't they doing anything? And that made me dig deeper and deeper into what it is to be human beings, and what it is that once we have power and once we held big positions, we couldn't do what is right. And there's a lot of pulls in life, and we have egos, and we have ambitions, and we have to bend here and there, and how to break that cycle.
Well said. Rocky, I want to turn to you because your work visited the sites that you've protected in the Philippines and elsewhere around Southeast Asia and around the world, including in Brazil and elsewhere. And we know from the places you work that meeting the ambitious goals that we have around ocean protection require action by national governments, by international bodies, but they really require local leadership as well. I mean, where overfishing happens is at the community level. The benefits of that are at the community level. So how have you approached the work with local communities, and why are they important to your work?
Well, you know, we've seen what a good mayor can do in a great city like New York, right? And I think in Costa 500, we've had the chance to see what good mayors in a fourth and fifth class municipalities in countries like the Philippines can do. They can pass legislation, they can convince fishers that following these rules will actually pay off for them in the future. They can make conservation a priority in their annual plans and their budgets. And then, as we've seen in Honduras, we can also see how they can come together and actually ask the national government to change legislation so that it's the small-scale fishers that are prioritized in the nearshore waters. So there's a lot that can happen, and we've seen mayors grow into this in different ways. They come at it from different paths. For some, it's personal because their father was a fisherman, or that they've seen what devastation a typhoon can cause in their community. For others, it's being brought in by their peers. So we have alliances of mayors from neighboring towns that have come together and actually cooperate with each other because somebody had pulled them in from their neighbors. And then lastly, I think, and this is really what we're hoping will happen with Coastal 500, is that they feel like they're part of something bigger. Recently, we brought mayors from the different countries that we're working in to the Philippines, and one of the bupatis from Indonesia was so excited by the work that he'd seen being done there that he went back home, called a meeting of his peers, invited 48 village leaders to come and join the network, and then together they're figuring out ways to tap the national funds for villages to be used for coastal protection and management. So it's pretty amazing, and I think with these ambitious goals that the world set last year, and then this year the countries are setting their targets and actually writing the action plans. The only way we're going to be able to hit those targets is if we have hundreds of thousands more of these locally managed MPAs, these smaller groups that are managed by communities, by indigenous people, and then really, I think the local leaders are the wave that's going to power that moving forward.
You're talking about the big global goals of protecting 30% of ocean and land by 2030.
Yeah.
And why does that matter for the local communities where you're working?
I think it's actually the best way that we can make these goals pay off for people. This is the most, I guess, inclusive way we can do this because they're the ones that are closest to the resource, and they're really the ones that are going to benefit most from this. But they're also the ones with the most power to protect these resources.
Well, on that, Maya, I want to turn to you because you're an ambassador for Oceana, and one of their taglines in protecting the ocean is "Save the ocean, feed the world." So it's very much about this issue of not just protecting the planet, but protecting the people who are here. So how have you seen Oceana's work protect people and the planet?
Yeah, it's interesting because we can't think those are separate things, you know. Once we protect people, we protect the planet. Once we protect the planet, we protect people. It's unity, right? We see ourselves as individuals, but truly, we're all together all the time in this whole universe. So with Oceana, it's, you know, we've been two very interesting law changes that we were able to conquer. One in south of Brazil was the bottom trawling, and that allowed small-scale fishers to find again lobsters and red snappers, which was being completely depleted. And with that law, which was passed by the Supreme Court at the very end of the fight, it also allowed for, of course, less of an impact of CO2 once you stop bottom trawling. Also saving petroleum use. So a lot of good things happen when you can tack into and create one big law of protection. Same thing in Peru when we were able to, well, they were able, our beautiful team of Oceana in Peru, they were able to create the law and pass the law of protecting the 5 mile close to the coast of industrial fishing that allowed the artisanal fishers to go out and fish, and that protected food and that area and protected food and families. I think it was 40,000 families that now can actually go out and fish and have what to eat. And I think we do say in Oceana that, you know, you could have 1 billion meals a day of seafood if you actually protect it and allow the ocean to heal, because it's unhealthy right now. But that is the potential. And I think, you know, as food is a major issue in right now in our near future, scarcity, to not protect something that nature is giving us. And once we deplete it, it's saying, if you give us a break, we will make sure we, you know, get healthy again very soon. It's crazy not to do it.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you've been so forceful in making the point that it is all connected. And I think some of the connections that people don't always make is, the bottom trawling that's crashing fish populations is also making the problem of climate change worse, and that we're allowing it, including in marine protected areas, many places in the world. Those are the kind of laws that your groups are working to push, so very powerful. I think another theme that's coming up here is about that kind of collaboration and then scale. So Rocky, I want to ask you about how the Coastal 500 work and your work with Earthshot has helped with along those themes.
Yeah, it's been an amazing year, really, and I think we're starting to see a lot of collaboration emerge from this. We'd already been working with WildAid previous to Earthshot, but during this period, they were able to actually raise additional funds that have paid for new patrol boats in 6 of the municipalities that we're working with in the Philippines. GRST, who is not even in the Revive Our Oceans category, is working to bring clean batteries to one of the mayor's municipalities that we're working with to power the tourist boats. This is going to be a game changer because it's going to be quiet. You can actually enjoy the water without the sound of an engine in your ears. Yeah, so that's exciting. And then finally, we're also, we've just completed a concept note with Abelobi where we're going to try and bring their technology to the communities that we're working with in Mozambique and Brazil. And then at the same time, take some of the lessons that we've learned in Coastal 500 communities to the communities that they're working with in South Africa. So many more to come. And I think what's really coming through is that Coastal 500 is really a platform that can kind of like take efforts directed at local communities and help magnify them and connect them all.
That's great. Yeah. Well, we're here in New York for the UN General Assembly week, so I'll ask you both to close with what would you ask global leaders to do to better enable local leaders to take action and revive our oceans? Maya.
Well, I would just ask them, if they're ready to do the work of healing, because I think we all as human beings have to heal. We've all gone through traumas and hard experiences, and I think only when we heal ourselves, we can heal the world. And I think we have to go into this journey together. And I wonder if they're ready to look inside and let go of their egos and their power ambition and all of the stuff that is really not so useful for us as humans to go forward. If they're ready to take courage and take the big leap and heal themselves so we can heal the world together.
On that front, I have to say there's an incredible film about Maya's life, Maya and the Wave. It screened in New York and LA in the last couple of weeks, and just an incredible and inspiring story. So if you have a chance to see it or to check out her children's book, Maya Makes Waves, do check those out. Rocky, over to you. What are you asking of global leaders?
I think it's maybe that the time for talking has passed and it's really time for action. We've made big plans together. Now it's time to really put resources, support, and space for local leaders and communities to get things done.
That's great. Thank you both so much.